G'day ladies and gents, welcome to War Thunder with Mags, and welcome aboard the Pe-3E. Well, the Pe-3E, it's just another Peshka. It's a low tier Peshka, MGs only, no cannons. It's often considered to be a particularly bad aircraft. I don't find it to be so. I honestly prefer this aircraft over the early IL-2s, mainly due to its flight control. It is a very manoeuvrable aircraft. Then again, I don't particularly fly this thing as a ground attacker. That said, as you can see, I'm going into combat with the 4-bomb load of 250s on board. The plane has the capability of carrying them, so it's worth having them along, extra RP for generation, but I tend to use it in an anti-bomber role. The machine guns that are on board are highly effective at taking down aircraft if you know where to hit, especially at this low level. Taking it over a roll to re-dive, but that little burst blew the elevator straight off the Wellington. It was out of control and the pilot bailed, so that's my first kill already. Moving on to next target, we've got a Bf-110 and a Bf-109, probably an E-series, engaging our IL-4. The 110 is a far more dangerous machine. With all those cannons and that firepower, it'll pull that IL-4 apart very quickly, so I've got to get rid of it first. Short control bursts, the Pe-3E does not carry a lot of ammunition for those MGs, so use it sparingly, only when you're going to confirm hit the target, otherwise you will run out. Next one goes through, take out the pilot. 110 is down. It's an E3, so I'm moving on the E3 next. It's ignoring the fact that I'm there. Big mistake. Third kill. Fourth target presents itself. Now this is where things get interesting. That CR-42 is only a biplane, but those 50 calibers on board, if well aimed, are easily powerful enough to take out this aircraft. On top of that, up until this point, the 3 aircraft that I've engaged so far, I am capable of outmanoeuvring, or at least manoeuvring with, all the way through combat. The CR-42 I cannot. Flick over and try and get him with the defensive gunners. I am well out of range, so I'm probably not going to be able to get shots on him. Begin to make a turn back. Now the greatest advantage to the Pe-3 series, and likewise into the Tu-2 series that it becomes much later down the tree, is its elevation control. That elevation control allows for some very, very, very tight turns, the thing flies like a heavy fighter, let's be straight about it. Hits in the front, more hits, got a critical there. Now the greatest advantage to the Pe-3 series is also its greatest weakness. Why that elevator is huge and allows great control authority in the pitch. It's also made of industrial grade tinfoil. It cannot take a hit and it is a massive target. Any solid strikes to that elevator will blow the elevator and the rudders straight off the back of the plane, and you'll see this shortly. Beginning my turn back on the CR-42. I'm not going to be able to turn with the plane, but I'm trying to put the guns in a position where the CR-42 is actually going to cross over them, so I don't have to follow the lead. Another burst, but he pulls up and I just miss. Loop it back around again. Flick back over to the rear gunner, see if I can get some shots in at a distance. Unfortunately, the rear guns on this thing are not particularly good at range. They're very hard to aim, especially while I'm manoeuvring the plane at the same time. Continue the turn to bring the plane back onto target. Another Pe-3 has joined in the fun. Yak 7 is moving in. And this is where it all goes wrong for the CR-42. Just trying to close in to try and finish off what I started, but nope, CR-42 goes down, but I do secure an assist, so all's well and good. Now with the CR-42 down, that's all fighters within my area, fighters and bombers within my area are eliminated. It's time to go and offload these bombs. And it's an important thing to note with the manoeuvrability you've seen on the aircraft so far. Everything I've just done, I've done with 4 250s loaded on board. I'm yet to release them, so I'm moving in now. I'm going to try and bomb these armoured cars out just for bonus points. I am running incredibly low on MG ammo, so I don't want to strafe too long unless I have to. Luckily these guys are nicely bunched up, so first release. The underwings release 2 bombs at the same time. The secondary release is 1 at a time. And here's where the weakness of that big elevator comes into effect. I take 1 AAA hit. pinks the entire fuselage, blows the elevator, blows the rudders. I've lost all tail control of the aircraft. And it just goes to show that in many matches, the AI, even the ground-based AI, is often more dangerous than the players you're flying against. However, despite the damage and losing all tail control, you can keep the Pe-3 airborne, providing you roll the plane back and forth to control your elevation, and you deploy the flaps on and off as you need to lift the nose more, or just to control the lift of the plane. You can keep it flying, which is entirely what I do. The unfortunate part is I'm on the other side of the map at the moment, so I have a long flight back to base, and then the difficulty of trying to land an aircraft with no tail control. However, I manage it. I get all the way across the map and I'm on final approach to the runway, just starting to bring my speed down now and level out ready for landing, and this is where it all goes wrong. And this is what can happen when you do lose elevation control and rudder control in something like the Pe-3. As I deploy the landing gear, it puts drag on the lower part of the fuselage, starting to bring the nose down. Deploying the combat flaps to lift the nose is not enough to counteract this, so I begin dropping altitude rapidly. With the elevators out, there's no way to bring the nose back up as a counter. Even folding the wheels up will not be enough. It puts me in an uncontrolled dive and into the trees I go, so I don't make it home. The thing is, I actually made a massive mistake here. If I'd bothered to hit tab and check out what was going on at the moment, the enemy team only had a single aircraft left remaining, and most of our team was on it. If I'd just kept the plane flying for 60 seconds longer, I would have gotten out of that match without a crash. And that's the end of it. So let's go check out the results. So, results for the match. Second place for the team with 3 air kills, 1 assist and 1 ground kill, but 1 death to AAA. First place went to our other Pe-3, who got 20 ground kills. Ground Forces Rescuer, Bomber Rescuer X2, Multi-Strike X2, Windstreak X3, Soft Landing, no idea how I got that. Anti-Mech, Terror of the Sky and On Hand, 42,900 Silver Lions and 5,286 research points, and that's another spade to my collection. So, the Pe-3E, honestly I don't mind the aircraft. It's tiered similarly to the first IL-2 that you get access to, and really what it is, well, the Peshka series in general, you're trading off a little bit of firepower in exchange for a lot more manoeuvrability. The IL-2s as a general rule are fairly tight in the turns, but their elevation control is nowhere near as good. There are manoeuvres you can pull in this aircraft that you just cannot do in IL-2s, at least not easily. And as you can see, it's quite a good attack aircraft. You just don't necessarily have to attack ground targets with it. Moving on to the next match. So next up we have the MiG-15 Bis. Now, I know what you're going to say, that's the German MiG-15 Bis. It's a MiG-15, it's Russian. I don't care what markings they put on the wings, this is a Russian aircraft. As I said in my first impressions video, it's basically the same aircraft in terms of performance. There's just some cost factors in regards to purchase price and repair costs that are slightly different between the two aircraft. Why they're different, have no idea, but they are. Now, I haven't really flown this aircraft since I did that first impressions video, and honestly there's been a few changes to the flight model since then. The first thing I noticed bringing it out is the control stiffening has gotten a lot worse. Beforehand, the boosters to the control surfaces were they were a nice upgrade to have, but they weren't necessary in terms of performance. Now, at any time above 500 kilometers an hour, you can feel the control stiffening on the aircraft. The boosters is now almost a requirement for competitive combat. Now, my MiG-15 Bis, obviously I haven't flown it since the first impressions video, so it's still grinding out the airframe upgrade. This means I don't have the boosters, and I can honestly tell you this thing feels like I'm flying with a bus tied to the bottom of it at the moment. It really is not that nimble. I'm flying out with Norbs for this battle. He shot me a message, wanted to go out for a spin, and we're just ripping up the sky, trying to get into altitude as fast as we possibly can. We're on bulge against US forces, expecting a full deck of Sabres and F9, F5 Panthers incoming. Now, this battle is not going to be an amazing show of piloting skill. I'm still learning the ins and outs of the MiG-15 Bis. It is going to show a couple of interesting things, which is why I've put it up. This is not a battle, looky what I did, how good a pilot am I, battle at all. This is look at what I've put this MiG-15 into and how it responds, it did show me some interesting things about the flight model. Now, the first thing I'm going to be looking at is, I've been told that the MiG-15 can basically turn with any aircraft in the game, providing it's got combat flaps deployed and it is using its air brake. As it turns out, this is 100% accurate. However, it does come at a cost, especially if you don't have the upgrades on the aircraft. The second thing this battle is about is the teams. I actually got a little bit of flack not that long ago from one of my subscribers who felt that I was not being fair on US forces, showing a lot of bad US forces teams. Well, it's not just the US, it's, well, everybody. And this is one of those teams, and there's your first indication for it. 2 German MiG-15 Bis blowing half their ammunition each, fighting over the AI Mosquito spotting aircraft on the bulge map. So that's 2 of our MiG-15s that are going to be non-effective later in the battle because they've chewed out half their ammunition load. In terms of aircraft, this was a very, very good team for us. We've got 2 CL-13As, and the rest of the team is mostly made up of the German MiG-15 Bis. So overall, this is exactly what you want if you want to win. Enemy team consists of a full deck of Sabres, all variants, a couple of F9Fs, 5 variants, and a F8 Meteor, which you'll be seeing very, very, very closely in the very near future. First target's been spotted, F9F. I'm beginning my approach. One thing I have noticed, now I've flown the CL in a fully upgraded format, as well as a number of other jets in fully upgraded formats, the stock MiG does feel real sluggish. Getting it to 1,000 kilometers an hour is actually rather difficult. I'm really going to have to focus some time on at least one of the MiGs, either the Russian or the German one, probably the Russian one, and get all the upgrades onto this aircraft as fast as I possibly can. 6 kilometers out from target, and as you can see, even with a gentle dive before I move into this climb, I was only able to get it to 815 kilometers an hour. This is incredibly slow. This is really slow. I can hit these sort of speeds in my Meteor F3, and I can hit them in about the same speed as the MiG-15 is, so a lot of its performance has to be tied into the upgrade system. The thing is, I don't remember it being this sluggish when I did my first impression, so I think some of the performance has been moved into the upgrades as well since that time. Norbs is being engaged by 2, so I duck underneath, take the plane back into the vertical. Thankfully, its energy retention is still very good in vertical manoeuvres. I'm not losing too much considering the sharp angle and tightness of the turn. The Meteor is on Norbs, so I want to angle over there and try and intercept and clear his tail. First shots go through, miss, didn't give enough lead. I really need to get used to these 23mm cannons again as well. It is the one curse of flying so many different aircraft so commonly. Learning the different leads that I need for each and every individual gun actually takes quite a lot of effort, and remembering where you need to aim each one after you've learnt it, it sometimes can take a few rounds. Pull back high over, combat flaps are deployed, bringing the nose back around, and now I'm beginning a turn fight with a Meteor F8. Pulse the air brakes to tighten the turn, and yep, worked perfectly. However, I'm bleeding speed like a stuck pig. Continuing to follow the F8 through, it gets ready for its turn, but I'm down under 400 kilometers an hour already, and I am maintaining the turn with this F8. I cannot quite get the nose around fast enough to get it ahead of the aircraft, but it's amazing how much speed I was having to sacrifice in order to make these turns. It makes me wonder, a lot of experienced pilots say this is the trick to do with the MiG-15 in order to be able to pull onto targets, but I do have to wonder how many of them are blowing all their energy. I was very lucky that nobody was in the area to spot me doing this, otherwise I was effectively a free kill through this entire manoeuvre. Let rip with another burst, did not give it enough lead, try again. I'm really just wasting ammunition at this time. The lead is nowhere near enough. At that point I could have had a kill had I anticipated the aim and the turn the F8 was going to make. Unfortunately, I didn't. Re-dip the nose again, let gravity assist the turn. Combat flaps are still fully deployed, getting ready to deploy the air brakes again if necessary to tighten the turn. Take it back into the vertical. Loop over. The F8 is very interested in taking Norbs out, so I'm trying to move to keep him up, but unfortunately nowhere near fast enough, and the F8 is pulling out of the area. However, I have an F9F coming in. Switch targets quickly, take the lead, fire the shot, and the kill is mine. Pull out of the area. I did take a hit to the fuselage in return, but nothing critical. However, that was the last of my 23mm ammunition, so now I'm only down to 37, and I have another F9F diving in on me. Take the shots, I get the kill, but I ram the wreck. Unrecoverable damage this time, I'm out of the match. Now as I'm going down here, there are actually 4 aircraft left alive on our team, a CL and 3 MiG-15s. The enemy team consists of the F8 and an F-86 F-25. This is a 4-on-2 battle with the CL, and the team still loses. So the results for this match was first place for the team, 2 kills and 1 death, multi-strike X2 and the best squad, 30,990 silver lions and 1,864 RP. Not exactly the best match in terms of piloting skill, but it was interesting to see. While the MiG-15 was able to manoeuvre with the F-8, I could never quite get the lead of it, at least not in stock format. The low speed made me vulnerable to attacks quite readily, and the low speed flying put my engine into an overheat to the point where even an 800km/h dive wasn't enough to cool it back off. None of these are particularly good things, so the plane's capable of doing it, but I'm still not sure I recommend it. As for the team, this was another I don't know situation. I left a CL-13A and 3 German MiG-15 Bis in the air against an F-8 Meteor and an F-25 Sabre, and they still lost. I don't know what happened, but as you can see, it's not just American teams that have this sort of a thing. Both German, Russian, pretty much everybody has this sort of teams form up. I don't know why. Anyways, ladies and gents, till next time, fly smart, fly safe, I'll catch you in the skies.